Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having an awesome week so far. Students, this is an IELTS reading class and we are going to be reading an academic passage on the painting of the Sistine Chapel. Welcome, Fuang. Hi, Fatima Tech 2500V. Thank you for joining and becoming a member. Hi, Lewis, Anna. Welcome to our members. Pluto, Iba, Kruti. Good to see many students. Carolina, welcome to our chat moderator. Awesome to have you all with me today. Everybody, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for the general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. We will use these in just a moment for this reading. Those of you who do have premium access, this is aehelp.com here. All you have to do to become a premium user is click that big red button just over there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access, costs about $40-50 US, maybe a little bit less. Absolutely worth it. You get lots of videos, materials, and you get access to our premium Zoom classes every week. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. For general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com, everybody. Here with the green background, and you got to click that big red button there. We're an IELTS registration test center, a British Council partner, an IDP affiliate. We had the first IELTS YouTube video ever online in 2011. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS exam preparation. Students, again, if you're premium members, I sent you the link for your premium classes yesterday, so you should have it. If you don't, let me know. My email is adrian@aehelp.com, or you can just send it to admin@aehelp.com. Everybody, right now it's reading, then it's speaking tomorrow, and for premium students who do sign up on our websites, it's task 2 writing on Thursday and more speaking on Friday, all through Zoom. Okay, Lewis says received. Good. It means those emails are going through. Lovely. All right, everybody. So I am looking at the chat. It's right here. I'm looking at what you're saying. And we are working together on this reading. Everybody, here's a nice speaking video for you to check out on our or on our YouTube channel when you have a chance. Make sure to subscribe, everybody. Subscribing to our YouTube channel is free, and it's certainly a great way to keep up with what's going on in the IELTS and improving your English. Okay, IELTS reading tip number 1. Read the title and visualize the content. Super important. Whoa, that's a good wake up sneeze at 6:30 in the morning. All right, so looks like this is our reading for today. You see this beautiful fresco painting. Fresco is a painting on plaster. It's a very, very, very famous church or chapel, we can say, in the Vatican. If you've never seen one, that's okay. Just imagine you're inside one of these famous religious buildings with a painting, and you're the painter maybe doing this painting. Okay, so that's your first step. And then you look at the title, Painting the Sistine Chapel. So I ask myself, what is this going to be about? Well, the history, the challenges, the difficulties, the accomplishments, the value of the painting, the meaning of the painting, the life of the painter, the artist. All of those could be included here. So I'm thinking about that when I look at the title, Painting the Sistine Chapel. And then tip number 2, as many of you probably know, is look at the questions, but don't read all of them. Okay, and don't try to answer them. So read the questions that contain information held in the passage. By the way, students, I always encourage speaking so you can copy and repeat. Okay, Saya is saying, hello Adrian, I'm practicing a lot, but I'm unable to achieve a good mark on reading. Why is this happening with me? Well, Saya, it might be because you're using the wrong technique. Okay, if you're using the right technique, then you should be good. So let's learn that today. Okay, all right. So we look at the questions. This is where a lot of students make mistakes. They'll read all the questions, but that's not necessarily good. So here it says, complete each sentence with the correct ending A to I below. The Sistine Chapel is, okay? Now, we have a lot of choices here. I'm not going to read the choices because there's too many, and I don't know which ones are correct and which ones are false. A lot of these choices might not be actually in the passage. They could just be confusing. So I'm not going to read the choices. I'm just going to read the questions. Okay, just to give me an idea of the passage. Michelangelo had been concerned with his something. A logistical problem Michelangelo faced was unpainted areas of the chapel. A common misconception is that 4 years of working in uncomfortable conditions mean that Michelangelo must have had. Now, students, this is reading, so make sure, everybody, that you are reading with me and read aloud if you can. Okay, read together and aloud. Okay, so copy what I say, copy how I say it, and read with me. Okay. All right. Now, here's some nice multiple choice questions. It's a student favorite, I know. So with the multiple choice questions, again, I don't read the choices. There's no point. I don't know which ones are wrong, which ones are extra information, and there's no point really in reading them before the passage. In fact, in the computer-based exam, you don't even have to because they're sometimes just drop-down menus. So no point in clicking on that. So no point in reading these. All you should do is pay attention to the question. Okay, so here I just read this part. Why was the plaster laid each day? Now, one extra step I can take here is paraphrasing this into a statement. So every day the plaster was laid so. Okay, and then it's kind of like this finishing the question or the statement type question, which is a bit easier if you think about it that way. So instead of thinking about why was plaster laid each day, and if you don't know the meaning of plaster, that's okay. Something was laid, something was put down. Okay, every day the plaster was laid so. Okay, whatever that is. Again, I don't worry about the questions, or sorry, the answers. So just go to the next one. What did other fresco painters do that Michelangelo did not? So again, I don't care about this part. I just care about the part on the top and thinking about it a little bit differently. So all I do is I change that question into a statement. So most fresco painters did this, but Michelangelo did not because something, right? So probably I'll hear or I'll read something like that. Now in the multiple choice for listening, it's the same technique. You're just hearing instead of reading. Okay, a good little side tip. All right. Lois says the purpose of lying plaster daily. Good. Iba says I'm taking notes. That's a good idea, Iba. All right. Now, next one, 35. The Sistine Chapel has survived to modern day because. Now this one nicely is already a statement. Good. So I don't need to worry. Given. Okay, well, yes or not given. I don't know if it's yes. I don't know if it's no. I don't know if it's not given. So I'm not even going to bother reading that at all. There's a much better strategy for that. We'll get to that later. Okay, cool. So now I go back to the passage. And I read. Nice and focused, not rushing. I read the whole passage. If you're just skimming and scanning, you're not going to get a great mark. Period. End of story. You cannot answer yes, no, not given questions and multiple choice given questions by just skimming and scanning. It's going to take you more time than if you read the whole passage. You won't find keywords in the right place. You'll find keywords in the wrong place for other ideas because the authors are paraphrasing. So don't just skim read. Read the passage. If you can't read the passage in 10 minutes, you have to improve your reading skills before you sit the IELTS exam, or you're just wasting money. That is the truth. And if another teacher tells you otherwise, they're not telling you the truth. That's just it. Okay? All right, so I read. Here we go, everybody. Read with me. Painting the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel, named after Pope Sixtus IV, whom directed its construction, is one of the most important sites in all of Roman Catholicism. Located within the Vatican, the seat of papal power, the Sistine Chapel has been home to the papal conclave, the process of electing a new pope since its completion in 1480. It wasn't until 1508, however, that the ceiling of the chapel took on its famous frescoes from the hand of Michelangelo. Until his work on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo had primarily been a sculptor. In fact, he was hesitant to begin work on the project due to his lack of experience with frescoes. The name given to a painting on a wall or ceiling, usually watercolor paint on fresh plaster. The Pope was adamant, however, and in the spring of 1508, Michelangelo began the work. All right. What is this paragraph about? So, simply, what is it about? In a very simple answer. Students, what is this about? The beginnings of the painting of the Sistine Chapel. The Pope, the artist, and the plaster. Okay, that's what I would say it's about. Now, if you didn't get that, that's fine. But at home, when you're practicing, when you're studying, you should have that information on paper. Okay, this is a really, really good exercise for you to do at home. So, what is this paragraph about? The beginnings of the painting of the Sistine Chapel. The Pope, the artist, the plaster. That's what it's about. Mal says how the chapel came to be. Namra says the history of the painting. Iba says the definition. And those are all good starts. I would give it a little bit more context. So the idea of answering this question, what is this paragraph about? The way to answer that is really to have enough information that your brain clicks in. Okay? It knows that that's the information in that paragraph. Everybody with me? Thumbs up? You following me? Yeah? I hope so. All right. Got some smiley faces at least. All right. Tech 2500 says how he got the work. Michelangelo. Yeah. Now Tech 2500, try not to use a question like how he got the work, but instead use a statement like Michelangelo was commissioned or Michelangelo was tasked to paint the Sistine Chapel, right? So say it as a statement. Now I see lots of thumbs up. Excellent. So students, that's how you do it. Now here's a nice little tidbit. Let's read this together. I'm going to put on my headset here. You should too if you have one. We'll hop back to the website. Everybody, again, just keep in mind that our website powers these classes, and if you have access, this learning is way better. So you can review before, review after. Click that big red button to join the premium version. You can enter that discount code that I just shared at the beginning, DISH9. for that 10% discount. And then you go to your My Student account, and in your My Student account, in your audio CDs, every reading in the passages will tell you where it is. So this is track 7 on CD 6. And that's where we're going to go. So CD 6, track 7, here we go. Let's listen and read together because we will be answering these questions together after. Okay.
Painting the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel, named after Pope Sixtus IV, whom directed its construction.
Okay, let me just start that for you one more time. Here we go.
Painting the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel, named after Pope Sixtus IV, whom directed its construction, is one of the most important sites in all of Roman Catholicism. Located within the Vatican, the seat of papal power, the Sistine Chapel has been home to the papal conclave, the process of electing a new pope, since its completion in 1480. It wasn't until 1508, however, that the ceiling of the chapel took on its famous frescoes from the hand of Michelangelo. Until his work on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo had primarily been a sculptor. In fact, he was hesitant to begin work on the project due to his lack of experience with frescoes, the name given to a painting on a wall or ceiling, usually watercolor paint on fresh plaster.
The Pope was adamant, however, and in the spring of 1508, Michelangelo began the work.
The first problem with painting the Sistine Chapel's ceiling was its extraordinary height. Reaching almost 70 feet above the chapel's surface, the ceiling would be incredibly difficult to access. To reach it, Michelangelo devised a series of scaffolds that attached to holes in the walls of the chapel. To this day, there are still unpainted areas of the chapel corresponding to the points at which the scaffolding attached to the walls. Unlike Hollywood portrayals, Michelangelo did not paint the ceiling whilst on his back. Instead, he painted in an upright position. This resulted in rather extreme neck soreness from constantly working with his neck craned into an uncomfortable position. Michelangelo even wrote a poem detailing the difficulties he encountered. It is a testament to the physical prowess and mental fortitude of Michelangelo that he was able to complete the project. 4 years of physical and mental anguish must have been truly unbearable. Painting frescoes is a labour-intensive task. Because the plaster must be fresh, this necessitated that fresh plaster be laid on every single day for that day's paintwork. This section of plaster is called a giornata, and the edges between giornate are still visible today. In fact, these visible section demarcations give a great idea of how the work progressed from day to day. While most fresco painters used a pre-made drawing of the day's work to stencil onto the plaster, therefore making the painting easier, Michelangelo painted directly on the fresco. This is perhaps the most impressive aspect of the fresco. Every day Michelangelo continued the back-breaking work under continuous pressure from the reigning Pope, Julius II. In addition to its beauty and majesty, the masterpiece has passed the test of time. Painted over 500 years ago, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel has survived remarkably well. All of the credit for this hardiness goes to Michelangelo, who was painstaking in his pursuit of perfection. If a section of plaster was not exactly to his standards, he would start over. He must have known that his work might last for centuries, and he wanted to make sure that it did. The quality of the plasterwork is germane to the longevity of the work. Paint can be restored through cleaning, but if the plaster fails, the work is lost. Only a very small section of the ceiling has failed. In 1797, there was an explosion at a nearby gunpowder depot, which caused a small section to chip away and fall to the ground. There was also some minor restoration work done on the ceiling in the late 20th century. Restoration experts meticulously removed layer upon layer of soot, grime, dirt, and other deposits. This made the fresco much brighter and more vibrant, and resulted in a fresco much closer in appearance to how it would have appeared at the time of its completion. Interestingly, The restoration also involved removing the fig leaves which covered Michelangelo's nudes. These fig leaves had been ordered in the 1560s by the very conservative Pope Pius IV. Despite its record of hardiness, there are concerns about the well-being of the ceiling moving forward. Millions of tourists visit the chapel every year, and this traffic has a degrading effect on the paint, as well as the structure of the chapel. While restoration on the paint can periodically be done, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to restore damaged plaster. While Michelangelo's work has stood the test of time so far, it is unclear how many more centuries his masterpiece will last.
Currency. Cents.
All right, everybody, we'll stop the audio there and answer some of these questions together. So I'm hoping that everybody followed the reading, and this was, you know, good steady pace. It wasn't too fast. She read the passage in about 6 minutes, and there's lots of time. 6 minutes leaves you 11-12 minutes to answer the questions if you did the prep time. Okay. Lois says I followed that. If you didn't catch all the words or didn't understand it all, that's okay. We're practicing reading here. We're going to do this together. Clearly, we went through the history of the Sistine Chapel. So how it started, how it continued, what Michelangelo did, the challenges, and then the past until the present. So explaining how it's beautiful and how it's still around today, and one of the reasons it's around today is because of the quality of the work and just some of the smaller challenges that had happened over time, and right into modern day where millions of tourists visit the chapel. So hopefully you followed that timeline in your head. Following that timeline is really, really important, students. So here, what I would have in my head in the IELTS exam is basically a timeline where there's the beginning, right? There's the construction, so the building of it, right? There's the challenges or the problems, like the explosion, and then there's the now. Okay, so it's kind of this timeline of the paragraphs, right? Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and maybe 3, paragraph 4, and paragraph 5, something like that, right? So everybody followed that kind of timeline, even if you didn't understand all the words and all the pieces and all the vocabulary. As long as you got this, you should be okay. All right, everybody good? So everybody has that timeline in their head? Yes, timelines are very important. When you see a timeline, you can even write that down in your notes, right? That timeline of what's happening with the paragraphs. All right, I see some thumbs up. Okay, so here, now we get to these questions, and I'm going to do the questions with you together, everybody. So I'm going to get some volunteers, and we're going to use Zoom for this, okay? Now, this kind of Zoom practice is what we do with premium students on Thursdays and Fridays. So again, another reason to join us at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com, because if you want to do this kind of practice, then you want to join us at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. Okay? So, to do that, go to this Zoom link. If you don't have Zoom, you'll have to install it. And I'm going to get you to answer these questions. And that way you're going to learn better, because we learn best by doing, not by watching. Okay? So let me start up this Zoom. And here we go. And then you can actually use your camera through Zoom. I can't because I'm using it through YouTube, obviously, but you can use your camera through Zoom and share with your peers. Okay, I'm just gonna join up here. Oh, hopefully I didn't mess that up. I probably just did. It's such a reflexive motion for that camera. Probably just froze the camera there. Yeah, I did. All right, let me just fix that real quick. No, see, that's what happens when I try to use my camera in two places at the same time. It freezes. But that's okay. I can fix that. Okay, here we go. Back in motion. All right. So, 8 people. Nice. Well, I fixed the camera. Let me just get everybody in here. Hi, everyone, in Zoom. There we go. We've got Anna and Fuang and Louis and Mansoor, Jalaluddin. Okay, let me get more people in here. Now, you can volunteer to answer some of these questions. Ariadna, Golzoda, you're coming in right now. Okay, good. Juan. All right. If you'd like to volunteer, the easiest way to do that is under More, go to your reactions, and then raise your hand. And then when you raise your hand, you see this little hand come up right next to your beautiful face, or your name, or your letter. It's sometimes just an H or a Z, or your awesome looking cat like Fuang, or your actual human self that's moving around like Tech 2500V. Good to see you, Tech 2500V. Looks like you're getting ready for the day. The tank top must be hot where you're at. All right, everybody. He's like, yep, putting on, there's my notes. Okay, good. All right, so students, got lots of hands up. Let's get some answers going here. Fuang, that lovely cat, I don't think you had a chance last time. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Fuang.
Hi, sir.
How are you, Fuang?
I'm doing great today. How are you, sir?
I am also doing fantastic. That's great. It's a good day. Energy is in the air, Fuang. Your cat's getting cuter and cuter every time you log on. All right. All right. No, thank you. Okay, Fuang, let's answer some questions. Are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to guide you, so don't worry. I'm going to guide you, okay? So with these kinds of questions where it says write the correct letter A to I in boxes 27 to 35, and then you have to look at the question and then choose from the answers that are below. The first trick, do you know what it is? Fuang, do you know what the first strategy is for answering this type of question? You've been in these classes a long time. Do you know what the first kind of step is?
Try to guess the meanings first before we look at the multiple choice.
Yeah, and not the meaning, and it's not guess, because you're not really guessing. I mean, you read the passage, right? So it's try to answer. It's just try to answer the end of this sentence before you look at the choices. The problem is a lot of students just look at the choices right away, and then they get really confused. They're lost. They don't know what's happening. They pick the wrong one. So you control your brain, not the test, right? So you need to answer first. So the Sistine Chapel is, what is the Sistine Chapel, Fuang?
It is a complex and religious piece of art on the ceiling, sir.
That's the painting of the Sistine Chapel. But what is the Sistine Chapel?
It's a piece of paintings of Michelangelo.
No. The Sistine Chapel is not the painting. The painting is the painting. The Sistine Chapel. What does chapel mean, Fuang?
Cathedral or a church.
Exactly. Yeah. So see, you shouldn't get this wrong. If you know that, you shouldn't be getting this wrong. So you know that it means church, right? So the Sistine Church is, what is the Sistine Church?
It is a religious place to for painting.
Okay, forget the painting, Fuang. Stop it with the painting. So the Sistine Chapel is a religious place, yes. Where is this religious place?
I not remember, sir. Maybe
That's
you
okay.
look at
That's
the
okay.
photo.
That's, you know what? That's okay that you don't remember it. The Sistine Chapel is a religious place. Is it important? Is it not important?
It's important.
Okay, so it's an important religious place. For what religion?
In Vatican.
Okay, now you remember where it is. It's in the Vatican, and it's important for who? For what people? Is it Shinto, Hindu, Muslim,
For
Buddhist.
for Christian.
For Christians, yes. Okay, so the Sistine Chapel is an important religious place in the Vatican for Christians, right?
Hmm,
Do you agree?
Ari.
Okay. Simple thoughts, everybody. Simple thoughts. Stop focusing on the painting. Okay, that's what I would say. That's maybe it's right, maybe it's not, but that would be my natural way to answer this question based on the introduction, right? It's an important religious place in the Vatican for Christians, okay? Now I'm going to try to see if I can find something that's at least similar to that, okay? Have a look. Which one do you think is kind of close to that, or at least has some of that information?
Maybe C or G. I think so.
Okay, so according to what we just said, it's either C or G. Did I say G? Did I say it's one of the oldest? Did I say Sistine Chapel is one of the oldest ones?
Yes.
I said it's one of the oldest Roman Catholic holy sites. You're putting words in my mouth, Fuang. I don't know. I don't remember myself saying it's one of the oldest Roman holy Catholic sites. Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. How old is it? Do you remember how old it is?
Maybe 1,000 years.
No, it was like 400 or 500 years old. Remember Michelangelo? Michelangelo lived about 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not 1,000 years old. How old is Catholicism, the religion?
Maybe few centuries ago.
No, Fuang. Come on. We have to know this kind of information. I mean, I don't know everything about Islam, and I don't know everything about Buddhism or Shintoism, but I certainly know how long they've been around, approximately. So how long has Catholicism been around? I'm hoping one of your classmates can help you.
Almost 500 years ago.
When was Jesus born according to Christians?
1,000 years ago.
Well, according to religion and our calendar, it was 2024 years ago. Okay. That's where we get our calendar year from, more or less. Fuang, it's 2024 years ago. That's where we count. Alexander has a good laugh in the chat. Yes, Alexander, I can see you smiling. Alexander says, everybody, it's 2024 years ago. That's where we're in 2024. We count those years from the day that we believe Jesus was born. So that's where our new calendar year starts from. So now you know, Fuang, why it's 2024. So Catholicism is from about 2024 years ago. Okay, the Sistine Chapel is 500 years ago. So I mean, we're having a good time with this, Fuang, but ideally, everybody, you need to learn just the basics of human history for different religions and cultures and so on. I know, you know, some cultures are very homogenous in their teaching, so they teach a lot of just the local culture and history. But for the IELTS, it's definitely important to spread your wings a little bit and just learn, not the details. You don't need to learn everything about Islam, and you don't need to learn everything about other religions, but you do need to learn just the basics, okay? Just the basics of the major kind of historical events, and that will help you a lot. So that way I know that there's no way that the Sistine Chapel is one of the oldest Roman Catholic sites. That's just wrong information. It's not 2,000 years old. So the best answer here, Fuang, is C. Right? It's it's located in the Vatican, right? And that's a part of my answer. So I said the Sistine Chapel is an important religious place in the Vatican for Christians. So C makes sense. Okay, so C. The Sistine Chapel is located in the Vatican. All right, Fuang, thank you for being such a good sport. do a little bit of research on Catholicism, maybe some of the other religions that you're not so familiar with as well. There's some interesting discoveries there. It also helps you learn about the world around you, for sure. And I don't know how cute that cat can still get, but I'm looking forward to the next time that you put that cat up there, what it's going to have. Maybe like a little hat or something on its head. Okay?
It's fake hair, sir.
All right, Fog. Have an awesome rest of your day, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, bye, Fong. Okay, everybody. That was Fong. Give Fong a... I mean, you know, I know it's hard to know everything about everything. So it can be tricky. And I bet there's a lot of information that Fong knows about various religions in the East that I would not know. But again, you do want to do a bit of research before you sit your IELTS exam. Okay, let me just get Fatima in here. There you go. Students, I'm looking for more volunteers here. So put your hands up and answer these questions for me. There's hello, hi. There's Jalaluddin. If you don't know how to do it, then again, it's under more and reactions. And I'm going to lower my hand, but you can raise your hand. Okay, let's try a gentleman. Lois, you've been very active today. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi, Mr. Adrian.
How are you, Lois?
I am doing great. How about you? Thanks for asking.
I am the same, as I was saying to Fuang as well. Lois, are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
Ever ready.
You're ready. All right, good. So again, everybody, multiple choice questions, whether it's this kind of multiple choice question or this kind of multiple choice question. The number one step, and this is the same in university multiple choice or college multiple choice, especially because often you'll have more than one answer that looks correct, like we just did with Fuang, right? Is to answer on your own first. If you're looking to the answers right away, your scores are going to be lower. So, having said that, Lois, read 28 for us.
Michelangelo had been concerned with his
Finish
something.
it. Yeah, and then finish that. What was he concerned with?
He was concerned with his lack of experience in doing with the frescoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the beginning, right? We remember that because
Yeah.
it was a very strange situation, and you should catch those strange situations when you're reading students. Like, it was really strange that the Pope was like, no, dude, you got to paint this chapel. And he's like, no, dude, I don't know how to paint a chapel. I've never done it. He's like, no, but like, you're awesome. You're a great sculptor. You're a great sculptor, so you got to paint this chapel for me, okay? And he's like, whoa, dude, I'm a sculptor, not a painter, right? That's two different things. And he's like, no, you're going to paint it. And he's like, right? So did you visualize that, Lewis? That
Yeah,
kinda...
I do.
Yeah.
That's how I remember.
Right? It's like, why would you get somebody to paint something when they're not... Okay, but anyway, luckily, it turned out he does better paintings than I do. If the Pope got me to do it, it would have all been stick men, stick people, stick girls and stick boys on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Not as cool. All right, let's see if it matches. Take a look. Lewis, tell me which one is one that kind of looks like that.
Yeah, last one. Option I.
Option I. Inexperience painting frescoes. Michelangelo had been concerned with his inexperience
Painting frescoes.
It's exactly the same as what you said, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Except it's paraphrased, but otherwise
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah, basically.
So that gives you 100%, and it should be 100% confidence that you got the right answer, and you should not be searching. So it's very quick, right? 29. Can you read that one?
A logistical problem Michelangelo faced was, so should be
Logistical is
about
like practical, right? Like the practical or the situation, like the real problem, right?
yes.
What was that?
It should be about the height of the ceiling. It's too high.
Yeah, could you imagine that old school technology? You're climbing up there every day. I visualize that too. Like, how scary. You're climbing like, I don't know, 20 meters or something. It's a really high ceiling, like 10, 20 meters into the
Yeah, I
air.
feel
And
it's
then,
impossible like thousands of years ago.
yeah, it's not thousands. Again, it's just 500.
Mhm.
Poor Michael. Why does everybody think Michelangelo lived 1,000 years ago? It was 500 or so, 600. Okay, so logistical problem with Michelangelo face was the height of the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any match there?
Option A.
Literally
Very.
word for word, right?
Yeah, word for word.
Yeah, that's like 1,000% sure. If you have a word for word match to what you're saying, then you're definitely going to get that correct. Okay, so was A the height of the ceiling? Yeah, and this was I. Absolutely. Okay. All right, so let's give everybody a fun chance at home to answer 30, 31, 32. So again, unpainted areas of the chapel. A common misconception is that 4 years of work in uncomfortable conditions meant Michelangelo must have had. We'll let everybody else do those ones at home, okay, Louis? Because now they know.
Okay.
Now they know.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
okay, so thank you, Louis, for volunteering.
You're welcome.
We'll take
Yeah, most
another.
welcome.
Yeah, and by the way, Lois, double thumbs
Yeah.
up. You did a super job. That was like textbook. That's exactly how it should be. How did you did the IELTS? How did you do in your reading?
How did I do the reading? You mean
No,
for
no,
the
your score. Like, what was your score
Oh, last time I kind of screwed up. Band 6. It wasn't.
in
It wasn't.
reading?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't my level. I know. It wasn't my level. Something went really wrong.
What did you do? Did you spill coffee on the computer?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Lois, we're gonna talk about that
Probably.
because there's no way you should be getting
Probably
6.
I skim and scan at the end.
You went to the
Probably.
old skimming and scanning, didn't you? Yeah,
Uh,
that could have been it. All right. Well, we'll talk more about that because there's no way you should be getting 6. Absolutely no way at your level. But
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
if you do what you did today, I guarantee you'll do better. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lewis. Have an awesome rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Give Lewis a big thumbs up. Yeah, that was really good. Carolina's like, nice. Okay. Great. Let's take another volunteer. Ariadna, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hello.
How are you, Ariadna?
I'm fine, thanks. And how are you today?
I
really
am. It's really what?
Early. at
Early.
your- yeah, early in Vancouver.
It's 7:14 in the morning. Half the day is gone.
Yeah, really.
We had a long weekend, so I'm full of energy. We had Labor Day long weekend, so we had Saturday, Sunday, Monday as a weekend this past.
Yeah. Now I remember.
Ariadna, can you help me with some of these multiple choice questions?
I think, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do it. So, question 33. Question 33. Again, students, don't look at the choices. I know your eyes just want to go there and look at that, but don't do it. Just don't do it. Just look at the question. Okay, Ariadna, can you read the original question with starting with the why?
Why was the plaster laid each day?
Okay, so we're going to paraphrase it, and I already did that. Can you read the paraphrasing and try to finish it with what you think could be or should be or maybe the answer?
Every day the plaster was laid, so it must be fresh. I remember it must be fresh. So every day Michelangelo needs to lay a new plaster.
Why though? Do you remember why? I do remember why, and I was like, oh, it's interesting. You learned something new. Why did he lay it
Maybe-
fresh?
Maybe. I don't really remember, but maybe it was because of the colors. It was there were watercolor, and was very important to this type of painting. So it must be fresh. It must be wet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's okay, I think you're on the right track. So let's just finish that one more time. So every day the plaster was laid, so the watercolor
So the watercolor
could
didn't disappear.
Okay, sure. I like it. Yeah, I like it. No, seriously, I like it. And I can imagine, like, even if I didn't read this passage.
Or shoot long lasting.
Yeah, of course, right? Because think about it. Plaster is basically wall, right? Like you're making a wall, ultimately. Yeah. Now, if you have a dry wall and you paint with watercolor onto a dry wall, then you can kind of just rub that off. Like you can wash that off with a cloth after almost, right? You can kind of like scrub it off, right? But if it's wet, if it's still kind of wet and soaking up that color, then it's going to suck right into the wall, and it's going to be much harder, right?
So it goes in deep into the wall.
Exactly, right? Like we can see that, we can visualize that. Okay, well let's see if some of the answers are there. Okay. So why was the plaster laid each day?
I think C, the plaster had to be fresh.
Okay. Is that the best choice? The painting frescoes is labor intensive. Giornata must be visible. The plaster did not keep very long. Yeah, I would say that. I would say it's C. The plaster had to be fresh. Why? For the watercolors to absorb, right? So it had to be fresh. Yeah, I agree. C's the best answer. Yep, for sure. Okay, let's try 34. Again, just read the question.
Yes. What did other fresco painters do that Michelangelo did not? And the paraphrasing, most fresco painters did this because Michelangelo did not because.
So, can you fill that in? Most fresco painters did what?
So there was probably that they paint when the wall was
I visualized this. Eba's got an answer for you there. This was a little bit tricky. You kind of had to really get this, and if you saw it, if you visualized it, then you definitely caught it, but if not, then it's going to be tricky. So we have to go back. Now if we have to go back, Ariadna, we know that we have to go back to somewhere in the middle-ish.
Yes, it was not directly on the frescoes. It was called giornata, so every layer of the fresco was painted every day. So yes, something like giornata or
I remember what it was.
I see the section, just a moment.
Yeah.
The section of plaster is called a giornata.
Read from here. The while most.
Just a moment. Where?
Right here. While most. You'll see it in a couple seconds.
Yes. When most frescoes painters used a pre-made drawing in the day's work to, yes. So pre-made drawing is this about?
Yeah, keep reading a little bit more. Just keep reading a little bit more.
To stencil onto the plaster, therefore making the painting easier. Michelangelo painted directly on the fresco.
Yeah, so he's a much more skilled artist, right? Do you know this word stencil, Ariadna? Stencil? Stencil. It's kind of a tricky word if you don't know it. Stencil is when you have like a cutout.
I know, but I don't know how to explain it.
If you have a see-through, if you have kind of like a semi-transparent piece of paper, like a see-through piece of paper that's got a drawing on it, and then you trace over the stencil. So just repeat after me, everybody. Repeat after me, Ariadna. You can trace over the stencil to make a beautiful drawing easily.
You can trace over the stencil to make a beautiful
drawing easily.
Exactly. To make a beautiful drawing easily.
Yeah. And by the way, what Michelangelo was doing is called freehand. That's called freehand. So Michelangelo was freehand painting onto the fresco.
Freehand painting.
Absolutely.
He made freehand painting.
No,
yes.
not he made. It is the verb. He
yes.
was freehand painting.
He was a freehand painter.
All right. So 34. What's the answer?
Just a moment. 24. The copy.
What did other fresco painters do that
What did other
fresco painters do that Michelangelo did not?
They make a copy of the day's work beforehand.
Absolutely. There you go. That's the correct answer. I mean, that was a little bit more challenging. I think a lot of readers would kind of have to go back and read that again, unless you know the word stencil and you really visualized it and you're like, okay, they kind of drew it out before and then the next day they put it up on the ceiling and they traced over it, right? So that's what they were doing, all right? Ariadna, always such a pleasure to have you on board. I love how you think through the questions, how you visualize. You're so energetic with the answers. I love it. I love having you in the classes, Ariadna. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you. And I really appreciate your help and enthusiasm.
Yeah, you're super welcome. Yeah, you're very welcome. Have a great day, Ariadna.
A great day. Thank you so much.
All right. I think Alexander was trying to get in here, but he disappeared. Yes, it is a free Zoom class mix vibe. Absolutely. Jalaluddin, let's get you in here. Jalaluddin, are you there?
Hi, Adrian.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I hope I will keep going.
You hope that greatness goes through the... Absolutely, right? It's like... Yeah, we all wake up, most of us anyway, a lot of us wake up feeling fantastic. The trick is to keep that fantastic going until bedtime, right?
Yes.
That's the trick. All right. Very well said. Very well said, Jalaluddin. All right. Let's do this. Yes, no, not given questions. A lot of students are kind of scared of these. These are kind of like, it's like fact or not a fact, or we don't know if it's a fact or not. That's basically what yes, no, not given means, right? So facts or not facts or false facts. So the way this works is you read a question and then you try to figure out if it's actually even given, right? So can you read 36 for me, please?
Okay. Paint does not stick well to poor quality plaster work.
Okay, the first step is let's figure out if that information is somewhere in the passage or not in the passage. The way to figure that out is just by figuring out if that's an important piece of information for this reading. So is that important information for this reading? Is it important for the reader to understand this fact that paint does not stick well to poor quality plaster? Should we know that according to this passage?
Maybe we should know that.
Right, because it's a fresco, right?
Yes,
It's all about the quality of the fresco in the Sistine Chapel. So it's important, right? I agree with you. Yeah. So if it's important, then chances are that it's given. So now we know that it's given, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we know that it's given, we can ask another question. And the next question is that true? Is it true that paint does not stick well to poor quality plaster, according to this passage? Is it true or is it false? Does paint stick to bad plaster?
Maybe it's yes. It's given to the passage.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. In the passage, and it does say that. The passage says when the plaster is poor quality, it doesn't last very long, right? It just gets destroyed very quickly. I mean, there's quite a few parts where it kind of emphasizes that it's important to have good quality. Remember it said Michelangelo, like if he didn't like the plaster, he would just redo it, right? And if you remember, and if you remember that, then this should be like, oh, okay, it's absolutely a fact according to this passage, right? Yeah. Okay. 37. Go ahead and read that for me, please.
Okay. Restoration results in the brightening of the fresco.
Okay. Is that important to know?
Restoration results. Yes, it's important. It's about the fresco.
Okay. Yeah, I would say okay. Yeah, it's probably. So it's probably given. Is it true that it that restoration makes the fresco look brighter?
I don't think so. Maybe it's no. The restoration result is not in the brightening of the fresco.
Are you sure? Well, okay. Let me ask this. Okay, if you're not sure, like if your answer is maybe, right? I'm not. You're like, oh, well, maybe not. I don't know. Where would this information be in the passage? So if you have to go back and skim what you're scanning,
somewhere the last paragraphs.
Okay, good. Why, Jalaluddin? Why would it be somewhere in the last paragraph?
Because it was said the painting is and fresco that paragraphs.
Remember the timeline? Do you remember the timeline that I drew?
Yes.
Like the start.
Yes.
Okay, so if we're talking about restoration, when would we be restoring this fresco? Would that be 400 years now? Right? It's something we'd be doing now, not 400 years ago when it was. Okay, so somewhere near the end. So if you have a maybe, right, and you figure out, okay, well, it's going to be somewhere near the end. It's going to be somewhere in the end. So take a look at these two paragraphs. Read from there was also some minor restoration. And we find that word restoration right here, right? Because we're like, oh yeah, of course, near the end. So read from there. There was also some minor restoration.
There was also some minor restoration work done on the ceiling in the late 20th century. Restoration experts meticulously removed layer upon layer of soot, grime, dirt, and other deposits. This made the fresco much brighter and more vibrant, and resulted in a fresco much closer in appearance to how it would have appeared at the time of its completion. Interestingly, the restoration also involved removing the fig leaves which covered Michelangelo's nudes. These fig leaves had been ordered in the 1560s by the very conservation Pope Pius IV.
Okay, so I ask you again, does the restoration result in a brighter painting?
Yes.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah,
also,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's gonna, because you're removing all those layers of dirt and soot and so on, right? So the answer here is yes.
Yes.
Right? So if you're not sure whether it's true or false or yes or no, then that's when you should go back and look at the passage, and don't just start scanning the whole passage, because you're going to waste a whole bunch of time. But think about, okay, where in the passage would this information most likely be, right? The yes, no, not given don't come in the order of the passage necessarily. It could be anywhere in the passage, and if you're just trying to skim read, it's going to take way too long. So Jalaluddin, thank you so much for volunteering and for helping me out with that.
Thank you for having me, Adrian.
All right, have a great, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, all the way till bedtime.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Jalaluddin.
Okay, bye.
All right, everybody, that's all the time for the volunteers, and we basically went through the question strategies. Try to do the rest of these questions on your own, everybody. Alexander, Anna, I know you didn't get a chance today, so I'll keep an eye out for you in tomorrow's class. Tomorrow, everybody, we're doing speaking, and I'll take some more volunteers there, especially people who didn't volunteer today. I try to switch it up, okay? So I'll keep an eye out for you, Alexander and Anna. Tomorrow, you're at the top of my list, okay? Carolina says yes. Students, finish these. If you have access to our premium course, then you have access to these exams. They're in your full online academic course and in your downloadable materials. There's the workbook, there's practice book 1. This was practice book 2 that we were using. Sign up at aehelp.com for our premium course by clicking the big red button, and you'll also get 2 extra Zoom classes each week. Okay, for general IELTS students, same idea, gieltshelp.com. If you can do academic reading, you can certainly do general IELTS reading. Passage 3 of the general IELTS is very similar to academic, everybody. These are our websites. They power these live classes, and of course, mostly these live classes are powered by you, the students. So thank you so much for my volunteers today. Thank you, Jalaluddin. Thank you, Ariadna. Thank you, Fuang. Thank you, everyone, for all of your help and assistance. Lewis as well. I didn't forget about you. Students, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. I hope to see you tomorrow. My name is Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today. Bye for now.